So, I've seen a lot of weird things as I've been doing this daily analysis of the war in Ukraine, and this might just be one of the weirdest. Um, so, I'm going to look at Solovyov talking about American politics. It's very bizarre to hear him describing things, not just praising Trump, but as he talks about Haley and DeSantis. Um, if you don't know me, my name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to help you with some context in the war in Ukraine. Everything on this channel is about the war in Ukraine, and if I delve into American politics, it's only because it's related to the war in Ukraine. And here we have this weird confluence of Solyov and American politics and okay, let's just watch it. Here's a Russian media monitor. They do really good work. And special thanks to them for putting this video out to begin with. I'm going to pause and comment on it periodically. The headline that they have here is that Solyov is desperate for more subscribers. But really, what he starts talking about is American politics. So, good morning, dear friends. Please subscribe to Telegram channel Solyov because our numbers keep falling, falling, falling. Wonder why. Please kindly subscribe to Telegram channel Solovyov. It would bring me pleasure. Valentin Olegovich Boganov is joining us. He is the VGTRK bureau chief. There's this girl, Nimarata Rahwanda. She's young and good looking, so we'll see. She'll take offense at that. Why? It's her name. Vivek Ramaswamy didn't change his name, but she did. Okay, what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about Nikki Haley, but I thought they called her something else. Well, her name is Nimarata, that's her first name, Nikki Haley. Okay, Haley was South Carolina's first female governor and the second U.S. governor of Indian descent after Bobby Jindal of Louisiana. So she's of Indian descent. Her first name is Nimarata, and she goes by Nikki. But so does my wife goes by her middle name. One of my daughters goes by her middle name. That's not unusual. She's not changing her last name, Ranhawa. She got married to someone named Michael Haley. So she goes by her middle name, and her married name is Haley, so it's Nikki Haley. There's no there. Vivek is now considered a viable and influential candidate for Trump's vice president. I don't know, but I just don't see it. Now, Vivek dropped out and started cozying up to Donald Trump immediately, and so did other candidates like DeSantis. So, because they think he's the likely winner, they're moving that direction headlong. I don't know. We'll see. It seems too good to be true. No, no, no. He'll take DeSantis. It's obvious. Okay, well, I think DeSantis is finished. He won't take him. Now, in my own opinion, as I look at it, I don't know what he's going to gain by DeSantis. DeSantis really didn't get the traction that we all thought that he was going to get. Perhaps if DeSantis had at least 25% of support. He started out with 40% and ended up with 6. This is an epic story of failure. Well, DeSantis was, I think, the great alternative hope for most Republicans, and then he just kind of fizzled. But this isn't a new story. We saw this in the 2016 election cycle. Here's the New Hampshire Republican presidential primary, and who won? Well, Donald Trump. Came in second, John Kasich, who we haven't even heard of since that. Ted Cruz, still a U.S. Senator, and then Florida Governor, just like DeSantis, Jeb Bush, who everybody thought was going to run away with this thing, and that's where the money was initially, and then Trump came along and blew him out of the water. But it was really interesting because everybody thought Jeb Bush was going to do so well, and he just couldn't get any traction. So it's the same song, second verse. At a certain point, he was mocked and was told that he needs a transplant of charisma. Now, I don't think that that's quite fair that he needs a transplant of charisma, but he seemed scripted. He just seemed like he could never, like he was just relaying his talking points and he couldn't get past the same tiresome talking points. And I know that all politicians need to stay on message. That's very important for politicians to, not go off message like Trump is known to do. But the people just couldn't get excited about him, and I don't know why, but not to this extent. On the other hand, he got tangled up. He crawled into Trump's niche and operated there. And I think there might be something a little bit fair about that analysis, which is very weird for me to be explaining that the Russian commentator on Solovyov's channel is actually saying something that is kind of right. This whole thing is jarring. But yeah, as he tried to move toward becoming more Trump-like, he became lesser because Trump was doing Trump well, and a alternative Trump trying to be more like Trump wasn't really what people wanted. They wanted an alternative to Trump, not a smaller version of the same thing. There's not really a contrast. It's tough to coexist with such a large predator. As a result, Trump simply ate him. And we're currently blowing up Kyiv, Dnipro, the Sumy region. It's been a long time coming. I hope we'll finally blow up the Bankova Street so these scumbags can come to their senses. Well, that was quite a jarring turn here when we're talking about politics. And we're pretty much done with the politics, but I want you to see him beg for more subscribers yet again. Subscribe to Telegram channel and Valentine, and please subscribe to the Telegram channel Solovyov. I'm sick of watching the numbers that keep going down. Let's get back to decent numbers. Go ahead and subscribe. Telegram channel Solovyov. Well, there might be a reason why your numbers keep going down, and you can't necessarily make people subscribe. Maybe they'll pass a law that will allow that. Okay, let's go back to why DeSantis wasn't getting traction. So if you look at the Iowa caucuses, now remember DeSantis had second place in Iowa. He just barely edged out Haley. So the most important issue was economy, followed closely by immigration. That's a slight flip of what happened in New Hampshire. Foreign policy is far below that. Now let's look at this. Republican caucus voters in Iowa, did Biden win legitimately? Only less than 1/3 said yes. 65% say no. Now it's about to get weirder. Let's look at this. Is Trump fit to be president if convicted of a crime? 64%, almost 2/3 of Republican Iowa caucus voters said yes. Now, I know that you don't believe me. I keep saying this. All of these charges against Trump have only made him bigger. They make these Republican voters that are already predisposed to vote for Trump want to vote for him more. There's a simple answer for this. It's called reactance. It's a psychological effect. When you can't have something, you want it more. It's also called the Romeo and Juliet effect, right? Why did Romeo want Juliet and Juliet want Romeo? Because they can't have the other, because this one's a Capulet and this one's a Montague. That's what's going on here to a large degree. So every suit, every court trial, it looks political. Whether it is or not is immaterial. Set that aside. To these voters, it looks like it's just a hit job on Trump, and they're just trying to take him down because they're scared of him, and that's why we want him, because he's going to fight for us. That's the psychology behind it. One more thing, I want to show you what happened in New Hampshire. Now, DeSantis dropped out after Iowa, and it was only Trump and Haley. But again, the economy was a pretty big thing. It was followed only by immigration, which was even bigger. And who won? Trump won on both economy and immigration by a large margin. And that's kind of how it would have played out for DeSantis too in Iowa, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so that's all that I have here right now. I'm just telling you, like, DeSantis looked like this great outsider, hope to be the alternative to Trump, but as he seemed to become more Trump-like, like on foreign policy, for example, he took a similar position to Trump on Ukraine, and that set Haley off more distinctively. I think a lot of Republicans could have gotten behind DeSantis if he had a more distinct foreign policy, or if he could explain some of these other issues with greater contrast. But he just seems scripted. Most Republicans would say that he has done a good job as a governor of Florida, but and again, I know Democrats, you're not going to say that. I totally get that. But DeSantis just couldn't seem to get traction for reasons I don't understand, but somehow Solovyov understands. Like, what a strange world we live in. Last thing I'm going to leave you with is the prediction market just went up 1 penny for Nikki Haley. So now instead of 94 to 6, it's 93 to 7. We'll watch this and see what happens over time. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch this. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.